This isn't the way I normally like to start off videos, but I need to give you a little bit of context as to what I'm thinking right now as I go to record this. I went to record this episode about an hour ago, checked Twitter one time before I did, and news of the shooting in Jacksonville at the Madden tournament had broke. And over the past hour, I've been doing what everyone else has been doing, just refreshing Twitter and trying to find out whatever the hell I can. So at this point in time, there's not a whole hell of a lot known, but it is absolutely on my mind. And I just wanted to throw that out there. It might take me a little bit to get into this episode because it's just another one of those moments where it's just obviously it's a somber mood. And like I said, to begin with, people like me, we make videos for ourselves, we make videos to entertain, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. But that is on my mind. And to anybody affected by this, friends and family of the victims, my heart goes out to you because holy shit. And to friends and family of whoever the hell did this, whose lives have also been altered in a forever changing way, I feel sorry for them too. That said, that's all I'm going to say in relation to this. I put something out there on Twitter as well. And by the time you guys are hearing this on the 27th, we'll know a bigger picture, the bigger scope as far as to what happened. But I guess personally, I just needed to kind of say this to myself before I could get this going, because it's definitely on my mind. And who knows, if I notice, like mid-recording, if I notice a notification on my phone, I might look, because we're getting news about this in real time, man. So, regardless, let's get into this. Let's try to have a little bit of fun. Let's try to, in my case, let's try to entertain. And let's try to kind of put this on the back burner of our minds for however long. All right, let's have some fun. Let's play a goddamn video game. Yeah, so as we are prepared for Season 3 here with the Buffalo Sabres, as crazy as that is to sound, we are here. It is Season 3, and our team is pretty much set. There was a little bit of debate as far as how to set up the squad heading in to this season, but this is what we are going to go with for the moment. Jeff Skinner's been changed from a playmaker, Eichel from a playmaker to they've been changed. So Skinner was a sniper, changed into a playmaker, vice versa for Jack Eichel. It's just to try and make the most out of Jack Eichel. Skinner hit 30 goals. Part of me wonders if he still can. Eichel hit 69 points, hilariously enough. We'll see what that combination ends up being, and if they can be even more potent offensively this season. And Evan Rodrigues is going to be given the opportunity on the first line, mainly due to that 88 offensive awareness. He is very well-rounded. We might as well give him a shot to see how he can do. That way we're not exactly rushing Velarde to that top line. The second line, Max Pacioretty. Of course, we had to sign somebody to get to the cap floor, and we did. Patches was the guy. Whether or not we end up trading him or not, I don't even know if that's going to be possible. I'm actually going to look at his trade value in a moment to see what that is and whether or not it would even be possible. With salary retention, I'm sure it would be, to trade him. He is with Casey Middlestat, who is now a sniper. Actually, he was a sniper to begin with, and Reinhardt also on that second line. So that second line is tremendous. I expect a lot of things from that top six. The third line is where I made some changes. Connor Sherry goes from a two-way to a playmaker. We have Velarde going from a two-way to a sniper, just to try and get a little bit more out of them offensively. And Justin Bailey has been changed to a power forward to try and make the most out of that physicality. The fourth line as well, we've seen a change. Scott Wilson's going to be in the lineup instead of a depth option, with Tage Thompson at center, who's been changed to a two-way. If he goes to the third line, I'll change him to a power forward. That mainly depends on how Justin Bailey does in that role. Nick Baptiste on the fourth line as well. I debated between a grinder and a two-way. We had him set to a two-way. Defensively, Rasmus Ristolainen now an offensive defenseman. He'll be with Will Borgen on the top pairing. Second pairing, Lawrence Pilot and Neil Pionk. third pairing, Matt Hunwick and Ryan Merkley, who's now a two-way. We're going to give him an opportunity. If it turns out he's not doing that well, we can send him back down to junior, and Casey Nelson will step into the lineup with, again, that amazing flow. Goaltender, Carter Hutton, and of course Ryan Miller, who we ended up signing. So Van Pottelberg, I'm sorry, but you are there in case of injury. So that is what the team's shaping up to be. Are we expected to be a playoff team? Not exactly. Obviously, certain aspects of this team in the future is looking promising, but obviously that defense is pretty weak on paper. But we'll see how guys like Borgen, even now Pilot, he went from 7th to 6th. Seeing how someone like Ryan Merkley gets on this season, it could end up being all right. We could push for a playoff spot. We could be terrible. It's tough to tell. First line down in Rochester is Victor Olofsson, who, to be honest, could get the call-up and play in the top 6 if there is an injury, if it wasn't for his shooting category. Obviously, that's a concern, but he is fucking rapid on ice. Fast as hell. German Rupsov. I was going to have him on the fourth line, but if you look at his offense, I feel like one extra season down in the AHL will be pretty beneficial for him. He's not a great fourth liner. I feel like it'll pay dividends for him to be in the AHL for one more season with CJ Smith, who is that first call-up option. If there's an injury in the top 6, he will get into the lineup. I didn't want to put him in the bottom 6, really on the fourth line, which is where he would have been. We wouldn't get that much out of him. And of course, other player types have changed. Like Vesalainen's gone from a two-way to a playmaker because he's clearly a playmaker and not a two-way. And we've had that debate before as far as whether or not that's quote-unquote cheating. But EA's flat out said that players haven't really developed the way they should based on player types, which is why in NHL 19, playmakers are more likely to develop as playmakers. So Vesalainen, as a two-way previously, he'd have that higher defensive rating and would have developed more naturally as a two-way. So they've admitted that was an issue. But yeah, this is the team this season. Moving forward, I'm excited to see what the AHL roster can do. Of course, we are focused on the development of guys like Sandberg, Goulet, and Oskari Laaksonen as well. 86 offensive awareness. He's looking like a monster, even with that lower potential. The goaltender, of course, is Luukkonen. His last season in the AHL, unless his development just completely stalls out. We'll see what happens there. If he develops quickly, perhaps we see a Ryan Miller trade this season. That said, before we get into the sim, the trade block is completely wiped right now. We're not looking to make any moves. And as far as Pacioretty's trade value, it is still sky high, despite that cap hit. But again, I don't know if I'll trade him, even if I have the opportunity to do so, because I didn't want to sign him, of course. If it was up to me, CJ Smith would have been in that spot. But, of course, I had to sign him so that we had the ability to call up and send down whoever I wanted. The good thing is auto-rotate goalies are on in the series. We don't have the controversy like we do in the Osprey series with Saros and Rinne. So I can just go ahead and sim forward. But as mentioned, I don't know if we'll trade Pacioretty. I feel like in a way it would just be a little bit cheap for me to go ahead and trade someone and get the most out of that value when I didn't even want that player in the first place. I, of course, thought he was going to sign to begin with. We didn't sign him until the beginning of the preseason. So interesting how certain AI GMs, if not every AI GM, has balanced out their rosters. Whether it be big name players still remaining on the free agent list, the RFAs, the influx of rookies, of course, that we took advantage of, signing some, not all, as we have a player morale situation. It is Pacioretty. Let's, numbers are black and white, buddy. Gotta produce. No impact. All right, that's so cheap. That's so cheap that every time you can just give the same answer, and there's never a negative response from what I've seen. It's always just no change or, oh yeah, thanks, coach. Thanks for the chat. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. But hopefully they've addressed that heading into 19. I haven't heard anything about it, so it concerns me that they might not have addressed that. So there is a chance in NHL 19, with all the new additions, that at the very least, player morale might still be off for us as we reach November 1st, 6-5-2 on the season, 7-3-1 for the Amerks. I'm going to go midway through November before we take a look at the lineup to see what exactly we're dealing with. And never mind, we can look now because Carter Hutton goes down to injury. Actually, we can just have Van Pottelberg coming in. It should start Ryan Miller over him, but we'll see. Regardless, it's not as if the backup situation's that great. It's not as if the starting goalie situation is that great as we continue to wait for Luukkonen to develop. But, of course, things are looking pretty good there. We lost both of those games to Detroit. I'd say right now the team is performing as we would have expected. I'm going to wait for Hutton to be back before addressing the lines. And there we go. All right, we only had to wait, an extra day? Let's take a look at what we're dealing with here and what changes we could make that, don't involve drastic wholesale changes on the team. As Van Pottelberg, 3 appearances, 1 win, a .902 save percentage, so probably the right idea to sign Miller. Although you watch, Miller will be worse. Oh, yeah, he is. Oh, yeah, he is. Not as if Carter Hutton was doing great either. Do we want to blame the goaltenders? Do we want to blame the defense in front of him? That's a whole other question. Risto with 8 points and a +1, 2 points for Borgen. He's even. Pilot and Pionk, they've been okay. I mean, no one's particularly terrible. Merkley hasn't exactly been able to get the offense going, but no one's been abysmal. Skinner, 17 points, 16 for Eichel, not bad. 14 points for Rodriguez, 12 assists as a sniper. Interesting. Patches is doing well, Middlestad's killing it. The top 6 is delivering, no doubt about that. 10 points for Sherry, 8 for Velarde, 8 for Bailey. Offensively, we're looking really good. Everyone's delivering. I'd say it's just a matter of, at the very least, it is goaltending. The goaltending is the problem. It's just whether or not you want to blame the fact that we have a weak defense in front of them. It's up to you how you want to judge whose fault it is. At the very least here, as we're 10-10-6 approaching December 1st here, we do have overtime losses, so that will help us. Gotta love those pity points. The Amherst, though, 19-5-1. Absolutely killing it. Way to go, Rochester. That is what I was hoping for this season, especially with that goaltending, especially with some of that offense. Let's take a look here. Skinner, almost a point a game player. As it is, we're still in the playoff race. We're 3 points back of Detroit. They have a ton of games in hand, 4 to be exact. But we're looking okay. We're not, like 2-18. I didn't expect us to be. But we're not exactly walking the league right now either. And taking a look at goalies again. Yeah, it's not looking too good, is it? It really isn't. I wanted to bring Ryan Miller back to Buffalo. That decision has not paid off all that well. Man, CJ Smith's killing it right now. Rubtsov went up a point, by the way, too. Asplund and Vesalainen, I think, are up a point. That's probably just due to momentum. Well, yeah, momentum and morale. Luukkonen also killing it. Zhukov doing really well as the backup. So at the moment, I'm thinking the best course of action here is to go forward. No need to really rush to make any lineup changes. No rush to make any trades or anything. It's just kind of a wait-and-see thing. We know what we are as a team. We're decent now. Like, we're the type of team that might be able to sneak into the playoffs. And I'd say next year is the time where, if we fall short of sneaking into the playoffs, we could start to be disappointed. I'd like to think, as Will Borgen goes down to a concussion, so Nelson will slot in on that top pairing with Ristolainen. I'd like to think that if you factor in this season, within 2 seasons, not next year, but the next year after, at the very least, I'd like to think we would be able to be the 8th seed by that point. With the team that we have, with the progress and the progression that we'll be making, especially some of these prospects. I mean, the fact that Velarde's in our lineup right now, he's an 80 overall. He's 20, So I can't help but think, again, of just having the attitude of being patient, waiting it out, seeing how it goes, and not rushing to be like, oh, well, we have prospects, so let's trade them for players who are ready. It's like, no, let's develop the members of this team. I think that's the better way to go about it. And really, we did pretty well for myself to have held off on a couple of those trades in year one, trying to hold on give quite a few members of this team an opportunity to maybe prove that, hey, we deserve to stay. It fell apart, obviously, whether it was someone like Jake McCabe and Nathan Beaulieu asking for way too much money. An injured stomach, that's vague. But CJ Smith goes down to injury. I think you get the point. I like the path that we're on right now. Even if we're not a great team, even if we're not running the league right now, it's not looking that bad in the future. We'll see if I still believe that within 2 to 3 seasons from now. But, the trades that we made, the moves that we made, the prospects, the picks that we acquired, sure, we're 15, 18, and 7 as of January 1st, 2020. But what are we going to look like 2 years from now? That is the point. We'll actually take a look at the Lions really quickly, hopefully, to see what this team's looking like. Skinner still nearing a point a game on 37 points, 6 points back of the 3rd seed in the division. So it's not a terrible spot to be in. It's not great. I mean, Rodriguez has 28 points. He's doing very well. I can't help but think, though, maybe switching Skinner back to a sniper would help, but he's putting up points regardless. But we know he was able to put up more points. I mean, hell, Eichel, he's up to 18 goals, right? So it's not as if I want to change Eichel back. I think we'll leave Skinner there, but it's like, man, I almost want to change Rodriguez to a playmaker because that's what he's proving to be, but he is putting up the points as a sniper. I don't want to mess with it, but I do feel like in a way if I were to go like, okay, playmaker, sniper, or even changing Eichel back to a playmaker, he was putting up more points, and actually, is he on a better point pace? He's actually on a slightly weaker point pace this season, but he already has as many goals. So it's tough when there are options like that. Pacioretty, Middlestat, and Reinhardt are doing okay. They've slowed down a bit. That third line's production has been brutal, and in general, the production of the bottom 6 has slowed down tremendously. Oh, God, what can we do here? I think we'll just leave it as is. It's fine for now. I mean, it's not fine. We're not doing well. Oh, goodness. Okay. Right. Let me take a look at the goaltending. A 9-12 for Hutton. Miller's still terrible. Let's change up some things about the defense here. Mainly, I don't even know what to change here. I want to stick with this strategy, but it's kind of tough. Let me take a look at Nelson. Nelson's a righty as well. I think we're going to leave Merkley here. Let's go ahead and do this little switch right here. What's the worst that could happen? We keep losing games? I think we're going to lose games anyway, to be honest. From the looks of it, at least. Although, how many contracts are we at right now? The one thought that came to mind, we're at 49. Okay, so we can't do anything anyway. The one thought that I had, although it would really stunt the development of some of the members of the AHL lineup that are in right now, it would be cool to send down a couple of guys to the AHL. Maybe that would help them develop a little bit better. We just don't have the open spots. So the team will continue to be what the team is. And really, I think now, as we continue to lose games, we will judge this season on the success of the Amerks as far as whether or not we've been successful at all. I think that's how I'm going to choose to view it. Because otherwise, it's looking like a little bit of a failure. Slightly. We are slightly worse than I thought we would be. And this massive losing streak has not helped at all in that regard. But we'll see what we can do here. When are we going to snap this losing streak? Place your bets as we just get crushed by Toronto. We beat Minnesota, so there you go. If you said Minnesota or Dallas, congratulations. You win nothing, but I like you a little bit more for it. As Rasmus Asplund is back. Ogilvy, I am sorry, buddy. You're going to have to take a seat. Rasmus, up to a 78 as mentioned. And in the NHL, oh my, it's gotten worse. How the hell is Will Borgen been able to pull off being a +2? Yikes. All right. Merkley, I think I'm going to send you down. I don't think it's too late. It shouldn't be. Let's just get you out of this situation, buddy. You can go back to junior for the rest of the year. And we'll roll with Casey Nelson. We will, We'll expose him to the misery known as this team right now. God, that losing streak really hurt us. Let's see. So again, Borgen's a +2, a -13, a -17. Good Lord. Let's go with, not with that combination. Let's go with that combination right there. It's something we haven't yet done. Offensively, yeah, everybody's just kind of slowed down a bit, huh? Everybody's slowed down a bit. I don't really think there's anything I want to change. Can Wilson play center? Wilson can play center. Let's put Thompson over there, Bailey over here, Wilson, Baptiste. We'll go with that. Actually, who's the better center? It is, in fact, Velarde. So let's go with that. Some slight changes to the lineup, but it's not looking all that good, especially when Ryan Miller has 23 appearances. Not all of those are starts, of course. You have to factor in how many times do you think a Van Pottelberg or a Carter Hutton has been pulled from a game early because it's not been looking too good, you know? So that's also a factor. Let's go another 2 weeks. We're closing in on the deadline, and at this rate, it's certainly looking like we're not going to be a playoff team. I don't know if this will be a draft episode as well. There's an outside chance of that happening, perhaps. We're only 20-some-odd minutes into this, so who's to say, as Carter Hutton was apparently banged up, but he didn't miss any game time. As we are, oh boy, when are we going to hit 20 wins? Antoine Morand goes down to injury. He's out for a little bit over a week, so we lose 7-2 to the Bruins. Yikes. Now, again, I expected our defense to be bad. I don't know if I expected them to be this bad. You know, like this is a little bit excessive, I'd say. Tad bit, as Carter Hutton goes down to injury for the second time this season. He's only going to miss a week, perhaps a little bit less. But the injuries are starting to add up. Let's get Morand into the lineup. Karabasic, I'm sorry, buddy. You gots to sit. Antoine's a little bit more of a prized prospect. In terms of selling at the deadline, as Velarde just dropped 3 overall points for some reason, because of individual performance. Well, if you're pissed about individual performance, you're probably going to be pissed if I send you down. But there is a decent chance of that happening, just to try and protect him. You know, I think that's exactly what we're going to do. I think we're going to send him down just to protect him at this point. Patches, not a happy man either. Not a happy boy. So, Velarde, let's save you from this. And we'll call up CJ Smith, who not as prized of a prospect. We can afford to, again, expose him to this disaster of a team at the moment. So, let's go Thompson there. Of course, Velarde's going to be pissed about being sent down. It is what it is. Let's put Smith there. Although, Sherry can't play center. I'm all right with Smith being on that side. I wish he could play center, but he can't. We'll go with that. That's fine. And then down in the AHL, of course, Velarde will just replace him. He's a righty, so we don't really have to worry about it. But there we go. He'll get top line minutes. Although, he's a slightly better center than Rubtsov, but we can just leave him there. And the 3-on-3 line. Again, I don't know why that doesn't change on its own. It's kind of annoying, but that's all right. We'll go to center. And we'll put Velarde there. So I'm not necessarily worried about, oh, will he recover or not? He'll recover, especially getting top line minutes in the AHL. I feel like that's the better way to go. And then again, Pacioretty's obviously pissed, but hey, what the hell did you expect, bud? You're the one that signed here. Although I'm a little bit surprised Nelson hasn't bounced back yet fully. He's been playing for quite a while now. Good old, oh boy, Van Pottelberg got a start and it did not go well. We'll make that change to the lineup for the moment. As far as selling at the deadline, I don't know who it would be. I really don't, aside from Pacioretty. You're welcome, CJ. I'm going to be demanding. Oh, holy shit. That's the first time someone's gotten pissed about me being demanding. Huh. I didn't think that could happen. I want to be motivating, but I'm going to be demanding. Yeah, see, at the very least, he didn't lose anything. I wanted to be motivating, but then we get the kid gloves comment, and I already went on that rant. I don't have to go on that rant again. It's good. It's fine. I'm telling you, he'll rebound in Rochester. At the very least, he'll be on a team that has an outside chance of going to the playoffs. Not a great chance. They've certainly slipped up from the early stages of the season. Don't really know why. As Carter Hutton's back, we'll get him into the lineup. How much time does Hutton have left on his contract, by the way? 1 year after this. So he is shaping up to probably be the backup to Luukkonen next year. As we'll handle scouting. We'll, of course, take a look at what's been going on around the league as far as other teams. And as far as the deadline goes, I don't really see myself doing anything. At the deadline, Dylan DeMello's on waivers. It's only a 76. We have that one extra roster spot. I don't know if I want to waste it on him. I'll wait to see if somebody else interesting comes up on waivers. But it is good to know that Pittsburgh pulled off some sort of trade. It's the only reason as to why we would have seen that. Let's actually sim straight to deadline day. Happy leap year, by the way. 19-38-8 on the season. The Amerks only 2 games over 500. So disappointing for them. Let's take... Oh, boy. It was looking promising. And now it's not. Let's take a full look around the league, shall we? As we are on 46 points. The Bruins on top. Needless to say, we're not going to be making the playoffs this year. Call it a hunch. But, I feel confident in that assessment. As Dallas, the best team in the league, we are dead last. And I know what people are saying. I know what people are going to be saying. There was a certain, Oh, boy. All right. Anyway, point totals we'll take a look at in a moment. Because, there may possibly just be a little chestnut here that people might not be all that happy about. But thank God we have our first pick, right? Thank God we gave up the pick last year for... Oh, God. Thank God we have that first round pick this year. What a disaster that would have been if I gave up the pick. Like the next year's pick, if I gave that up to Vancouver, what a disaster that would have been. As much as I still get slagged on for the Zetterberg trade and rebuilding Hockeytown, I think had we given up that pick, and I actually want to see how he's, is he? What the? Oh, there's Berglund. Okay, I went right past him. I was going to say, is he even still on the team? I think the Berglund trade would have gone down as the worst trade in the history of my channel. I think it would have. Thankfully, we're looking okay. I don't think we were that, that hurt. Who'd they end up with? I think they ended up with Glenn. I think they did. Kent Glenn. Hell of a name. Solid prospect, but hey, at least it's not looking like we gave up on a number 1 overall pick, right? Thankfully. Actually, let's go back to trade. Proposed trade. Is there anybody that would make sense to get rid of? I mean, so Luukkonen, obviously not. Ovechkin's not going anywhere. Carter Hutton I'm going to keep until next year. Zhukov's fine. Ryan Miller, though, I mean, you've been fucking terrible. And it'd be kind of cool to have you stay here, but I don't know, man. I think I might just keep him, but have Van Pottelberg be the backup just to get him some starts to try and help his development. It's not really working out with Miller, and we're not going to get much in return for him anyway. Kuokkanen's had some good development this season. Is there anybody, though, where it makes sense? Matt Hunwick, Casey Nelson. We're just not going to get anything back for these guys, That's the problem. And as it is, I mean, we only have really 2 other extra guys signed that could get ice time if we made these trades. I like Casey Nelson. Have a feeling he's not going to want to come back. Just, again, call it a hunch. Call it intuition. I don't know. Pilot's furious right now. I mean, everyone on this team's upset. They're not happy about losing, obviously. But, being upset about it isn't going to help the situation when you drop 4 to 5 friggin' overall points. How I hate the system sometimes. Hunwick and Nelson. If I trade you 2, I think it would be Stevens. And I don't remember who else. There's someone else, a prospect of ours, who isn't in the lineup right now. But if I could get rid of those two at the very least, Pacioretty's value has dropped. But again, I don't think I want to trade him just because of, hey, it's kind of cheap to get anything for him thought, which is true. It is true. I kind of agree with it, and hell, I might be the only person that has that thought, so I'll just say that's my thought on the situation. But trading the other two makes sense. Trading someone like an Anthony Angelo makes sense, as he's just sitting there anyway. He has 1 year left. Ogilvy, also on an expiring deal. The only thing I can think of right now is not like, oh, let me get value back for players, but just who can I get rid of so that it frees up some spots for me to potentially call someone up, or to at least get other guys into the lineup or into a position to perhaps play a little bit more regularly. So there are some options here. There are. So let's take a look around the league really quickly. Ryan Miller, I love you, but I would love to trade you to a contender, and Anaheim would actually be a pretty decent fit. They might actually be a fit for most people that I'm looking to get rid of. Did they have interest? They didn't have interest in Hunwick. They didn't have interest in Casey Nelson. But I don't care. I think I'm going to package them into a deal here. And let's go ahead and we're going to use Ogilvy. I think we're going to use Anthony Angelo as well. Just to clear them out. They're guys who aren't going to get spots. Does say that they're over the cap, but hopefully they can still do this without having to send anybody down. How does a nice, shiny third-round pick sound? To be honest, I might be able to get more. As crazy as this deal is, it does give depth to a team that needs a little bit of depth. They only have 39 contracts. They do need another goalie as well. They need a backup goalie. So, yeah, John Gibson. If they're willing to take a second-round pick for a shitload of depth, I'm willing to do it. Are they willing to do it? They are not. I'll take anything back in return. This is about clearing up spots for people to get more involved. How's a third-round pick sound for you to take back Ryan Miller? They don't want to take the Hunwick contract. I'll retain salary on the Hunwick contract. It expires anyway. I just want to free up that spot. Are you willing to do it now? You are. But you know what? Because I'm retaining salary, give me that nice, shiny sixth to go with it. I'm good with that. We'll take it. Thank you very much, Anaheim. I do appreciate it. Hunwick, nice having you here, but you are gone, sir. So Van Pottelberg will be the backup. Defensively, Sandberg, Goulet, Hickey. Who gets the call up? There's that trio of Stevens is actually 23 as well. Goulet's 22. I just can't help but think, I don't, you know what, let's throw these two to the Wolves, damn it, but at least you'll get some NHL experience. And forward-wise, I'm actually not done yet. I know for a fact that I do want to trade Scott Wilson, so we'll do that. Like I said, this might be the opportunity to go ahead and sign somebody else, potentially. Let's take a look here. So Sherry, I don't know why I'm looking by overall. I didn't mean to do that, but Wilson can go. I think he's pretty much the only one. Pacioretty's still there. I just don't think I want to do anything. So Wilson, how would you like to go to a contender that could use some depth? Toronto, not so much. Tampa could work, though. Division rival, they don't want you. I'd prefer to trade you to a team that would actually want you. It would make the most out of your value. Nashville can't afford to do it. There's got to be a team that wants him, that needs a depth option, that can afford it. Chicago. There we go. I knew I'd find somebody. How about a nice shiny third-round pick? You'd have too many skaters. Shit. Carolina. I'm gonna consider you a contender, kind of. How about a nice shiny third-round pick next year? Nope, you're at 50. Damn it. Boston. Perfect. Third-round pick next year, please? Please? No. All right, well, how about a nice, shiny fourth-round pick this year? What do you say? I'll take it. Wilson, have fun in Boston. Making out like gangbusters? I don't think you are. And that will free up a spot at the NHL level. Guess who gets called up? It's Rubtsov. We'll give him the opportunity now. So we have sold a bit. I'm so tempted to get rid of Pacioretty. Boy, people are pissed. they're gonna be pissed anyway, right? They're gonna be pissed anyway. Fucking Pacioretty, you're going. I am telling you right now, I outright refuse to take back full value for Max Pacioretty. And as it is, if I trade him, I'm not going to have the ability to call up or send down. So never mind. He literally has to stay. He literally has to stay. So we'll set up this team. We'll sim to the end of the season. We'll take a look around the league and see what other trades went down. But our roster's set. Everyone's pissed. That's not going to change. Of course, that's the one downside to having the morale system on, is people get pissed off. But whatever. You should have been better. Produce at a higher rate. Who knows what would have happened. So the top 6 will stay the same. And we'll probably throw Bailey back down on the 4th line. So Bailey, German, Rubtsov, and Baptiste. That's fine. Sherry, Thompson, and Smith. That's fine. Yep, that's all well and good. Defensively, I have no idea. Let's go Sandberg, Risto, Goulet, Borgen, Pilot, Pionk. Let's do it. Let's do it. Goaltenders, of course, Hutton and Van Pottelberg. And then down in the AHL, we're not going to have too much to do here in terms of optimization. We're going to bring in Zhukov again as the backup. In terms of defense, Budik being in is fine, but we also want to get Devontae Stevens into this lineup again for the first time in a while. We're going to have an extra lefty, so we'll play Hickey over there. We'll go just based off of overall, so that's how the defense will shape up. Kind of sucks to weaken Rochester in a way, but obviously we just kind of have to. We only have so many options here. So Masherin is the one healthy scratch. I'm all right with using Hurley here. I don't think Hurley's necessarily going to develop. So if we go off of overall, who's the weakest of the 3? We'll say Osplin's the weakest of the 3. Actually, yeah, we'll have him over Olofsson. That's fine. The 77s in terms of 76s. Let's have Cornell there. And that's shaping up to be pretty much what we're looking for. Just bump you over. Stenlund can play center. That's fine. Having Velarde on the second pairing wasn't exactly the plan, but here we are. And we're good to go. Beautiful. Beautiful. So the teams are set. That's all we're doing at the deadline. We will make it through the entirety of the season in this episode. Let's take a look around the league, see what other teams came up with. So, of course, you had our trade. Sammy Vatanen goes from the Devils to the Canucks for 2 second-round picks. Justin Braun and Dylan DeMello to Pittsburgh for a first, a fourth, and who I can only assume is WWF President Jack Tunney. Justin Braun, and then they immediately send down DeMello. Braun for a first, it's not a terrible deal. Ryan Donato signed with Detroit and then was traded to the Rangers for Ryan Spooner and a fifth. As a Bruins fan, that's hilarious. Tanev, Pajot, and a fifth to Carolina for Brett Pesce and Petr Mrazek. So Tanev for Pesce. And also, Pajot ended up in Vancouver and got flipped over to Carolina. The Kings get a first, a fourth, and Garrett Sparks for Alec Martinez and Sean Walker. Hell of a price for Alec Martinez. I don't know who McLean is, but I imagine that's Pierre-Oliver Joseph. And a second for Matt Zuccarello and Mark Barberio. Interesting deal there. And then we have Greenway and Koivu, along with a fourth for Yanni Vukola and Jason Robertson. Ottawa gets Sam Gagne straight up. Also, Vancouver traded Pajot pretty quickly. I wonder if they get a warning about flipping players so quickly, EA. And the Bruins get Pontus Aberg and a sixth for Kari Lettinen and a third. Wow. That's the price for Pontus Aberg, huh? I mean, I guess I'd rather have him than Kari Lettinen, but still, that's just weird. But those are the other deals that were made around the league. Let's go ahead. I was going to look at player stats. At this point, meh. We'll take a look at the end-of-year stats. I don't really think we're missing out on seeing necessarily how well a Scott Wilson did, how well a Matt Hunwick was doing. I don't think we're missing out on a tremendous amount of content there. Rubtsov has apparently been named captain. Let's just go demanding, whatever. Eichel's pissed about me trading Casey Nelson. And Pacioretty wants to be traded. Well, buddy, guess what? With that contract of yours, you're here for the rest of the season. Deal with it. As Grant Mishmash was named captain. Let's hold a team meeting and be demanding to everybody. The only guy pissed off is Nylander. I can't hold a team meeting at the NHL level. That's fine. As we have a lot of disgruntled and disengaged players. Oh, boy. The morale system. Gotta love it. Where your entire team just revolts because you're losing, even though we were listed as a rebuilder. So maybe Pacioretty should have had the programming to think to himself, do I really want to sign here? I know it's a lot of money, but do I really want to sign here? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. As we'll scout out the States for 2 weeks. We'll see what we're dealing with as we beat Tampa. We got 20 wins on the season. Don't look now. And the Amherst as well, picking up their play. They're over 40 wins on the year. 4 wins in a row. Make it 5. The Buffalo Sabres are on fire and probably screwing themselves out of a half-decent drafting position, or at least the best odds for the number 1 overall pick, whoever that is projected to be. Let's go defense for 2 weeks. As we're approaching the end of the year, only 3 games left. Will we hit 25 wins? Place your bets. We lose to Tampa. Can we beat Colorado? We're going to find out. 3, 2, 1. Hey, 25, 46, and 11 on the year. The Airmerks finish at 49, 30, and 3. Definitely not what I was expecting from them, but when they hit their midseason slump, I thought their chances of having a record like that went out the door. That's interesting. But I thought their chances of a record like that went out the door. Apparently not. Let's take a look around the league as the Boston Bruins finished with the NHL's best record. Congratulations to one Mr. Wilson. And at the bottom, the LA Kings, that winning streak actually did screw us. We'll finish with the second best odds. Holy hell, were the Kings bad. We finished with 2.59 goals for per game, which was bottom 10, if not just outside of it. Goals against per game, tied for the league high with the Kings. We allowed 278 goals. Holy hell. Compared to the worst team in the league that allowed 191, or the best team in the league, I should say. Our power play was actually pretty good, 21%. That was a top 10. And our penalty kill at a fabulous 72% was dead last. Dead last. A 4-5-1 stretch to end the year, though. And actually, I wanted to take a look at Rochester here. As they didn't win the division, they'll be playing the Marlies in the first round. Syracuse, 54 wins. Good Lord. Good Lord. As far as player stats go, let's take a look from here. It's fine. So in terms of forwards, where I want to look first, Casey Middlestat and Jack Eichel finished with 67 points each. Eichel, 28 goals. Skinner with 25. So that debate's definitely there as far as where it makes more sense to play him. He actually ended up with this, or how to play him, whether it's a playmaker or a sniper. Really, I think a sniper's a better way to go. Finish with more goals and the same amount of assists. So we'll probably change him back. Jack Eichel, 28 goals, so up by 10 from the year before, but finished with 2 less points. So you can debate as far as how we want to set him up. Casey Middlestat, 31 goals. Not bad, up from the 55 points he had in his rookie season. So a great improvement there. He's going to turn into a monster for us. Evan Rodriguez as well. That experiment worked out about as well as we could have hoped. 65 points for Rodriguez, up from the 33 he had last year. So again, the debate, changing from a sniper to a playmaker. I don't even know if he'll be the guy in that role next year, but he proved he could hang at the very least. Reinhardt as well. I can't believe this team did as bad as we did when we had 5 60-point getters, and Pacioretty almost made it 6. It was the secondary scoring, though, that really let us down. Sherry, 28 points, 25 for Thompson, 20 for Bailey and Baptiste. Velarde, the 14, 11 for Smith. He actually did pretty damn well. And Ripsoff did okay. So the secondary scoring was a little bit lower than you'd like it to be. It wasn't miserable. But then we get to the defense. 33 points for Risto, but from there, no other defender had more than 7 points. Obviously, the plus-minus is just brutal. And the goaltending, absolutely abysmal. An 897 for Hutton. Van Pottelberg somehow, and only 7 appearances, but somehow managed to finish over 900. So not a good season for the goaltending, not a good season for the defense, which really I don't think anyone's surprised by. Around the league, Radulov puts up the most points. Goal-scoring king, Ovechkin with 61. Holy hell. Only 2 players broke 50. Ovi broke 60 at 34. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. You see guys like Tolvanen, Donato, Besser, Anders Lee. Interesting how that played out. Penalty minutes and all that stuff. I don't know. Normally we look at it. I don't think we necessarily have to, although the hit king I'm intrigued by. It's Jonathan Taves and the fight king. We always got to see who the fight king is. And yet again, Curtis McDermott. I'm disappointed, man. Not Jake Dotchin anymore. Goaltending-wise, I guess we'll just look in terms of wins. And Tuukka Rask at 45. No surprise, the Bruins won the President's Trophy. In terms of rookie point getting, Michael Dowcole, 57, although Juolevi could win it. 55 points as a defenseman. So if I had to say, I'd give it to Olli Juolevi. But Michael Dowcole might win it just off the fact that he had 2 more points. So that is that. Although to take a look, there you see the AHL scoring. I also wanted to just look at our team in general. 64 points for Mishmash led the way. And actually, I was still on rookie skating. So just if you wanted to get a look at our rookie scoring, it was Ross Colton with 83 points leading the league. The top 2 scorers, actually top 3 scorers, all on Syracuse. So they had that good of a season. With that said, we've pretty much looked at everything we have to look at the moment. Let's get the full playoff picture. We'll follow along with the Amerks, and next episode will end up being the draft. So let's see. There were actually the Bruins might not win it. They might not. There was still a game left. We finished last in the conference. Tremendous. Let's get a look at the bracket, and then of course once the playoffs are over, we'll get a look at the awards and the progress reports. We'll find out the lottery results, and we'll take it from there. So as far as the playoff bracket goes, it's Nashville, Chicago, Dallas, Winnipeg, Calgary, San Jose, Anaheim, and St. Louis. In the East, Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders, Washington, Florida, Tampa, Toronto, Boston, and Carolina. And of course, we'll be taking on the Marlies. So let's see what happens, or what will happen in that series. And I'm still very confused as to why it named Rupsov the captain when Eichel was the captain and didn't get traded. That's just how this game works, I guess. I don't know. I don't have an answer. Let's go ahead and see how we do. Let's sim the first 3 games against the Marlies. We lose in overtime in game 1. We have a scouting assignment to take care of, so drum roll, please. It's so dramatic. I'll go 2 weeks on those goaltenders. Game 2, we win it 2-0. We lose game 3, though, by the score of 4-0. So our backs are against the wall here. We need a win in game 4. We get it. We're going to that decisive 5th game. Let's see what happens. Can the Amerks move on to the second round? Let's find out. So first period, not bad. Griffin Molino gets the opening goal. Velarde and Masherin, though, strike back quickly. 2 goals in under a minute. It's 2-1. Second period is scoreless. Third period, I'm just going to hit the button of the Amerks moving on to round 2. Yes, they are. Grant Mishmash and an empty netter for Bryson Martin. 4-1 final. And we have a team in the second round of the playoffs. Who the hell saw that coming? Admittedly, not me. Oh God, we have to play Syracuse. I certainly didn't see it coming after their early season struggles. Well, they did really well, and then midway through the season, they just fell off. They've redeemed themselves, but they have a hell of a challenge here, taking on the AHL's best Syracuse, or at least the division's best, and they do have a 2-1 lead through 3 games. We'll sim beyond game 5. How will this go? Scouting assignment. You're ruining my drama. Let's go 2 weeks in the SHL. Oh my God. We couldn't end it in 5 games. We still have a chance to end it in 6. Can we do so? Yes, we can. We have slain the dragon. Slayed the dragon? Slain the dragon. We've defeated the Syracuse Crunch in the second round. The Rochester Americans off to the conference final, where we will be taking on the Charlotte Checkers, who've only lost 1 game thus far. That is ridiculous, and that trend has continued. Good Lord. I think the season's over, but you know what? we had a good showing as we get swept by the Checkers in the conference final. Clearly the superior team. That is unbelievable. They're 11-1 heading in to the Calder Cup final. That's an amazing stretch. Mishmash had 12 points. It was not enough. They'll play Manitoba or Texas. As far as our playoff update, NHL playoff update, it's Carolina, Washington, Winnipeg, and San Jose. Place your bets. Who do you think is walking away with the Stanley Cup here in Season 3? We will find out shortly. So we'll take care of the scouting assignment. Let's go SHL goaltenders for 2 weeks. We should have time to scout out Liga as well, hopefully. But I'm intrigued to see who wins this, and it's Winnipeg. So the Charlotte Checkers just destroy their way to the Cup. That's an unbelievable run, and the Winnipeg Jets have won the Stanley Cup here in Season 3. Let's take a look at the brackets, the stats, the awards, the progress report before we get those results. They ended up beating Washington in 7. So Carolina has the NHL team go to the conference final, and in the AHL, they win it. They only lost 2 games. They lost 1 to Hartford and 1 to Texas. So the future's looking bright for the Hurricanes. Very bright. But the Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions. I want to take a look at their team, of course, as is tradition. Forward core, Matthew Perreault and Brian Little led the way. Ehlers was up there as well. Connor and Laine. Roslovic was there. Shane Prince. Andrew Kopp. Mark Scheifele did not have a good postseason, but hey, he's a Cup champion. Adam Lowry, Brendan Lemieux, Nicholas Kurdiles, and Nick Patan. The defense is kind of what you'd expect. Josh Morrissey, Dustin Byfuglien, Trouba, Tyler Myers, Tucker Pullman, Nelson Nogier, and Dmitry Kulikov. The goaltender, Connor Hellebuck. So there you go. The Winnipeg Jets, pretty much, again, the team you would have expected, end up winning it all. I want to take a look at the Checkers. 79 rated Nedeljkovic. That makes sense. Their defense, Michael Fora. That makes sense. Jake Bean. Why? He does have, maybe he played for, that's just so weird. Trevor Carrick, TVR. Okay, that's not even fair. That's not even fair. They had a better defense than we did at the NHL level. How is that? Look at this team. Oh my God. Also, shout out to Cliff Poo. He would have been our player. Spencer Smallman. What a Giuseppe and Zekov. This is unbelievable. No wonder why we lost. The Charlotte Checkers, ladies and gentlemen. Steamrolling their competition. As far as the awards go, again, Season 1 it was Toronto, Season 2 it was Pittsburgh. The Cup finally goes back out west. For the first time since '93, it goes to Canada. Winnipeg wins it all. Ovechkin won the Art Ross, no surprise. The Hart goes to Kucherov, second time in 3 years. So again, Art Ross to Ovechkin, the Hart to Kucherov. The Norris goes to Klingberg. Lady Bing goes to Borgstrom. The Calder does go to Dowcall. So if you wanted that confirmation on whether or not it always goes to the top point getter, it does. Brian Little wins the Conn Smythe. The Vezina to Carey Price. Hellebuck wins the Jennings. Masterton to Morin. Taves the Selke. Kucherov to Ted Lindsay. And the Rocket Richard to Alex Ovechkin. Down in the AHL, Colton put up the most points. The league MVP was Dennis Jan. Most goals also went to Ross Colton. The rookie was Heppo Niemi. The best defenseman, Eric Bronstrom. Spencer Martin, goaltender of the year. Alex Nedeljkovic was the MVP of the playoffs. So there you go. That wraps up our look around the league. We still have to take a look at our team for one final time. Let's look at the progress reports and see how we made out this season. So Jack Eichel is an 89, playing like an 87 at the moment. Middlestad's up to a legitimate 86. Osplin's a 79. Luukkonen's a 79. Vesalainen up to a 78. What else do we have here for greens? Anything? Ryan Merkley up to a 79, so he'll certainly be back at the NHL level next year. In the system, Stenlund and Cornell up to 77s, as are Alex Nylander, Grant Mishmash, and Bryson Martin. Masherin and Karabasic up to 76s. Anybody else? I'm kind of disappointed here. Linus Neiman's up to a 70. Ruslan Ovechkin up to a 69. Nice. Ginning, a 68. Goldowski, a 65, as is Caleb Everett and Maxim Voloshenko. Dabilowicz a 64, Alexandrov a 62, as is Kuokkanen. Steos a 61, Harley up to a 58, Leach up to a 56. He's been very poor in his development. There are some players, like Bodie Wild. There are quite a few guys here where I'm disappointed in their lack of development, but it happens, unfortunately. Wish it didn't happen to us. It would have been nice to see much more progression. That kind of puts us in a negative train of thought, I guess, heading towards the draft lottery and the draft itself, where I thought the team might be a tad bit better. I'm not surprised they struggled, but to this extent, a little bit. And then you factor in the lack of progression for some of our guys. Getting a top 3 pick here, of course, would be nice. Getting the number 1 overall pick would be even better. We'll see how this plays out, though, and whether or not we can get lucky in who we end up finding here. And really, if we can get lucky in the lottery, of course, like I said, we'll handle the draft in the off-season in the next episode. We don't always get... Oh, boy. Yeah, that sucks. We don't always get an entire season done in one episode, and unfortunately, we definitely end this episode on a down note, as we have lost the lottery. Not to mention, so did the LA Kings, so we both got completely screwed over. Ottawa, Detroit, thanks to Minnesota, and the New York Rangers are the top 3. We do get a top 5 pick, but that is incredibly disappointing to miss out like that. As far as retirements around the league, it's the last thing we have to look at. Roberto Luongo calls it a career, 556 wins. Peter Budaj was up there as well, and shout out to former Portland Pirate Mike McKenna. He calls it a career. Defensively, Dion Phaneuf, almost 500 points, over 1,000 games played. Paul Martin, the German Hammer, Dennis Seidenberg, and others, including Derek Engelland. And as far as the forwards are concerned, Justin Williams, Scott Hartnell, Mike Camilleri, among others. Call it a day. So with that, we are done here for this episode. Again, wish I could have ended it on a slightly higher note. We'll see what happens, though. As far as setting up the trade block, there's really nothing we have to do and no offers I'd expect to take. I'll still set up the block just to see what happens. Maybe entertain some offers. If someone wants to offer something for Pacioretty now that he's out of contract, then by all means I'll consider it if an AI team wants to trade for his rights. That I will consider. That's it. If they're offering like a first-round pick, I'll probably just drop it to like a 6th. But that's the only way I can see myself getting something for Max Pacioretty. I don't really want to take advantage of that, seeing as yet again, I feel like I have to, I don't feel like I have to keep reiterating this, but I want to. We were never going to sign him. We could have easily just signed somebody else, like a 50 overall to that contract, but I didn't want Max Pacioretty to just sit there and do nothing for a year. That would be unfair to a great player. So with the trade block set up, with this season said and done, again, we are done here for now. We will be back. In the next episode, we take care of the draft and the rest of the offseason, and we will get this team set for Season 4. Hopefully, we see a tad bit more progression between now and the beginning of the preseason. Not to mention, we're going to have a lot of money to play with heading into free agency. Who's going to be available? We will find out. So if you enjoyed the episode, you know what to do. Support the channel, support the video, support me. I thank you very much for it. Still on the road to 10K. We're looking like we're going to get there sooner rather than later. And I thank you guys a whole hell of a lot for that. And again, I hated to start the episode on such a negative note, but I hope for you, at least, if it was something that was on your mind and bugging you a bit, like it's bugging the hell out of me, hopefully the past 58 minutes or so helped you out in some way. I don't know. It helped me out just to take my mind off of stuff like that because it's ridiculous, but we don't have to get into it again. Thank you. I love you all, and I will see you next time.